So, why don't we start with the basics? You started saying that a little bit, but just so I know, first of all, you did say you have a piano, yes?
I have a piano. It's very old.
Oh, nice. Cool. That looks like
Thanks.
a spinet, maybe, or
Um, it's it says acrosonic. It's made by the Baldwin people,
yeah.
but it's very, very old.
Well, Acrosonic is a good name. So is Baldwin. So even if it's old, just so you know, it's a good name. It's a good piano. Uh, and some of these pianos can get better with age. uh, okay, so you got that. That's awesome. And remind me, how long have you had that, or how did that come to you, or what?
We bought it. I bought it, and my kids used it.
Okay.
And now the kids are out, and it's either I start playing it and learn it, or it's out.
Right.
That's what my husband says, and I agree. I want to see if that's where I should be going. And so I'm ready to try it again. And so what I've had for piano is I went to City College, and it was a big classroom setting, and I took piano 1, and then I took the next class, and we learned a lot of things. So I know that if whatever you show me, there's foundation there,
Yeah.
but I could not produce it for you. You know what I mean?
And how long ago was that?
That was a good, at least a good 5 years, 4 years. But I feel that, I still feel like it's foundation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And did you say you took 2 semesters of it?
Yeah.
Great.
Well, yeah. It's a lot of piano. And then I was taking it with a lady, and I was going to her house, and I'll show you the book we were using. Yeah. So how do you feel about a beginner?
Well, what's the book?
Oh, let me show you. I'm giving you the front.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Faber, right? Is that Faber?
It's not a bad book.
Yeah. I haven't actually worked with that adult book.
Right?
Great. Nothing wrong. Okay, cool. So how do I feel about a beginner? I don't mind it at all. I work with a lot of beginners. In fact, adults is my primary market or student base. It seems like I work well with adults. Were you in the group when I was sharing that with people? Did you hear me talk about that in the first day when we were introducing ourselves?
Yeah, when we were standing up in the back of the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I said then, I seem to get along well with adults. I don't know what it is exactly, but just the rapport, the communication, something about it. But also, I really believe that people can learn if you want to learn something. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy, and people have different paces. Some people learn more. Some people learn fast. Some people don't learn as fast. Some people, have busy lives and other things to do. Some people, they practice hours every day. Other students are just getting what they can out of it. And, it's a very individual thing. So I start with that. But I do believe in the power of, first, if you have a desire to learn something, I think that's very powerful. That's how I got into piano. It was pure desire to do it. Now, in my case, of course, I became a professional. But, even if that's not your track, it doesn't matter. It's your desire to enrich yourself. I find that working with adults, it's very enriching for them. They like it, and they're here for genuine reasons, because they want to do it, because they like playing. They just want to learn. There's so many different benefits that I've seen. They like to keep their mind working on something, or they want to be. I've always wanted to play piano, and they finally are. Or after 30 years, they finally come back to it, or even more years. I have one woman who's in her 80s who took lessons until she was a teenager, and then was on a track to become a professional concert pianist, but then got distracted by other things and stopped. But now she kept playing on her own, but it's the first time taking lessons in all those decades, and she's having a blast. And, she's doing it. She's doing it for herself. She's doing it because she wants to do it. And so, whether you're whatever place you're in is not so important to me. It's about your genuine desire to learn, because I believe in playing. I think piano is a great instrument. That's why I do it. It's who I am really as an artist, probably more than just about anything. So, I don't have any problem at all if you're a beginner. In fact, the thing about being a beginner is that you might have a better attitude about learning and knowing you're a beginner and being okay with yourself being a beginner. You have to be willing to be a beginner to get good at something, because you start from a place of not as good to a place of getting better, and gradually you become good at it.
Okay, so here's for me. I have the strong desire. My mom used to play, and so there's this connection with my childhood, and I always planned on playing. And when that happened, where I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do this, I felt extremely upset and sad, and I don't get sad easy. You know what I mean? And it's like heavy duty. And I raised 3 children, and they're all moved out. My son just graduated, and he still lives here. And so it's kind of me time. And I worked really hard, took my motherhoodness or whatever very seriously, and did not have any creative outlet time.
Yeah.
And I need that. So if I can't play the piano, I'm going to go sing. Because I figure that's something I can handle.
Okay.
Right? Okay,
great. Well, good job in, giving yourself something creative to do. And I think I've encountered this, and I've actually had other female students tell me how much it means to them to take piano lessons after living a life, raising children, or just being devoted to their families, and having this for themselves. And I've seen that it can mean a lot to people, and so I get what you're saying. Makes a lot of sense. So that's good that you're doing that for yourself. And now, as far as the other part, because I get you're maybe a little nervous because you had a experience that surprised you, like you said, or upset you. I'm still getting to know you, so I'm wondering what we might do about that to make it work for you. But I will tell you that, again, I'm just getting to know you, but piano, one thing that can be a real challenge is reading, because learning to read music, I believe it is for some people, and it's not as much for some people. Because learning to read takes a lot of intellectual rigor and patience. It's like trying to figure out computer code or something, and then learning to execute it on demand. And it's not even playing, it's literally just comprehending something. And then the playing part is what you do on the keys, and the music reading part can appear as this barrier to entry for some people, and some people really like it and they do very well, and some people are not as into it, or they struggle with it. I don't know exactly if that's...
I do struggle with it. It is a foreign language to me, but okay. I am picking it up, you know what I mean? And I feel like I have potential there.
Okay. Well, a couple of things. First of all, just so you know, I do have basically right now two tracks of teaching that I have 2 different types of students. Some of them are readers. As piano students. I also teach other types of musicians as well. But then there's the readers, like the traditional piano lesson, or the City College class, probably, in the Faber book and all that stuff. And then I also teach piano improvisation. Okay, now again, I don't know if this is your thing or not, or if it would be interesting for you. But the fact is, my experience with improvisation is... it's like a different part of your brain, or a different part of your thinking process. And it's not as note rigorous to read. And it's very creative, and students have a blast. And I have one student right now who was in my class last night, and she was learning to read and taught to read as a kid, but then came back to it, and that was what she knew. So it's like, oh yeah, we're going to learn to read. But then I introduced her to the improv class, and at first she was a little overwhelmed because it's so different. Like, what is this? I don't understand this. It's so different. But then a few months later, she ended up just being in the improv class because she was getting a little, the reading part was getting a little much, and she wanted to change. So she's been in the improv class for a couple months now and just loving it as far as I can tell. And I'm only bringing this to you as an option. It's not a requirement, but if were you to be interested in taking that route, it's a little different. What we work on, the skills we work on, is a little different than, you know, learning how to read like that. You know, like read all the notes. And I could show you that if you wanted to find out more about what that is.
I'm interested. I have a suspicion that that might be where I probably need to go. And then once I can play a little bit, then maybe I'll come over to the note side, you know, focus a little bit there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Does that not sound?
No,
I just think that it would be really cool if I could have a creative outlet with the piano. And it sounds like that might be the way to do it.
Oh, that's so good.
I mean, not immediate. I know it's hard work.
Well, Joan, you have to understand, there's people, especially if they've had any piano training whatsoever or know anybody who ever has, and most people who come to me have, they automatically assume that the way to read or that music, playing piano equals reading. It's like the same thing, but it's not the same thing. If you look in the worlds of jazz or rock or folk, if there's pianists in that world, probably some, there's a whole tradition of people playing by ear. I mean, obviously, all the like singer-songwriters at an open mic. I know there are a lot of open mics in San Francisco. I used to play at them. You know, they may not read at all, and they're playing their guitar maybe and writing songs. You know, I don't know that Bob Dylan read. I know the Beatles didn't read. Elvis didn't read. There's a lot of people. They're doing great things in the music world. They don't read music. There are other people who read, but it comes from a sort of a cultural bias that has permeated the education world. Because probably, especially piano, what do we think of when we think of piano? We think of classical music, and that is a world of.
I love classical music.
Oh yeah, great! I love it too.
I won't be able to play very much of it.
Okay, well, you know, you know, you don't have to. I don't know about that, but I can tell you that there's other ways to learn, and it's just in reading was created in a time before recordings, when that was the only way to transmit something, either orally or you had to write it down. And you know, so now we live in a new world where, you know, jazz was an oral language that was created in the recording age, and then rock and roll and everything since then. And it's a new era, and so, you know, there's lots of ways to play piano. So I'm glad you're interested, but let me just show you a little bit, okay, just for a minute, what I mean, so you have a better sense. Okay, so let me get something. Okay, so I actually, like I told you, I run an improvisation class, and this is the book we've been using for a while. It's a simplified, what's called a fake book, which is a term that came out of jazz, and it evolved this thing that we call a lead sheet. Now, a lead sheet has has notes in it, but it's not like a classical piano at all. It's it looks like this. And you see that it has just treble clef. And then also it has the lyrics. Well, in this book, all has lyrics, and then it has these letters here, which indicate chords that you play. Okay, so there's a lot more left to your just ingenuity and arranging. You have to come up with your own chords. It's different than reading, where, you know, if you read Beethoven, it's all written out for you. So in other words, if I were to just play the melody as written, it sounds like this, because this is what's on here, the notes and the treble clef.
Okay.
Good. So that's half of the song. This is just one of the songs in the book, Alexander's Ragtime Band. Have you heard it?
It sounds familiar.
It's Irving Berlin. Incidentally, I had a student just playing it today, but the sheet music version. So that's just, but basically the main thing for you to get is that was just the melody, right? Okay. There's no left hand there. But I can follow the chords, and obviously I have a lot of experience with this, so I'm going to make a little arrangement to add to that. And here it goes. So same music. It has a little more going on, but most of it is not written out, what I played. Mm-hmm. So how do we do that? Well, that's what I can teach you. But the first idea that you get is it's a little more creative in a way, or more open-ended. Now, incidentally, as far as reading this, also, I'm not strict about having to follow it note perfectly or something. This is a lead sheet that it's like a lead sheet is it's like a basic blueprint of the idea of the song, but it's meant to be, you can make it your own, So were you to hear the song and play it by ear, that would be fine too. Reading it is fine. Playing it by ear is fine, but this is just the common guide that keeps us on the same page, literally. Mm-hmm. Okay. So for those reasons, it can be a little less kind of frustrating if you're not note inclined, okay? And I'll say it again. I didn't say it this way, but I'll just say it. Music is an auditory art. It's about our ears and what our fingers can do to make something pleasing to our ears. Okay, but somewhere along the way, these written dots on page sort of became collapsed in our minds with music, especially if we're going to make it. We're going to make music as if this is how you have to do it. But written dots on page are not music. There is simply potential music. It's one way to make music, but there's lots of people that make music just writing their own music, or they play by ear, or they watch people. I mean, usually the main ways that people play are by ear or with reading music. But learning to, and then the third one is sort of a bit of both in a way, is learning to improvise. And when you learn to improvise, you have a lot of skills in your fingertips that with just a little bit of like a framework, you can do a lot with. Mm-hmm. So far, how does that sound?
It sounds really good. I do wonder about, I don't know that I have the ear, and I am interested in learning how I can exercise and practice my ear for the notes. Yeah.
Well, it's very common, Joan, for people who were trained to read, no matter how far you got, to not be trained to play by ear. Because the reading thing becomes, it's almost like we worship reading, as if, like I said, as if that's how you make music. So I'm not surprised that you say that. It's okay if you don't have a developed ear or something. It's very common that we just kind of get in this box, and it's sort of as if that's how music has to be. But if you were to be interested in that, it's something that you could try out.
Try it. I have a feeling that maybe this is where I was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? And I hadn't heard of it.
Yeah. Well, use what you've got. There's a lot of people with very active imaginations who are great music makers over history who did not read. Okay, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, and I've worked quite successfully with students who improvise. Now, I'm not saying you don't read. It's just that the demand for reading is a lot less. It's different.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
That's probably the way I should be going.
Cool. Very good to hear. So why don't we get you? I want to get you playing just a little bit, okay? And we'll first little concept to help with this reading. The improv kind of type of thing, because I think we're going to just go down that route. So first thing I want you to tell me is, you obviously you know the notes, right?
Well, I think kind of, sort of. You know what I mean? I need warm up time.
Okay. Now, if I say play a C, middle C, you can play that.
I know what that is.
Okay. Well, okay. Why don't you have a seat there at the piano, and I'll just guide you a little bit. So now I want you to put your thumb on C.
Just making sure I have something to write.
Okay. 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 So now I want you to put your middle finger on E. And together, play them together. And now put your fifth finger on G. Sorry, fifth finger being your pinky.
Right.
Yeah. So now you're playing 3 notes, and do you know what that's called?
Is that the chord of G?
That's a C. That's a C chord.
Oh, it's a C chord. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. So that's a C chord.
Yeah.
Okay. So now.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a C chord. Now, what I want you to do next is play it a few times and actually locate it in other parts of the piano, just so you can find it again.
Okay.
Good. So that's the C chord. And now while you're at it, why don't you try it with the left hand? Same thing. Just opposite fingers. Play.
Okay. So
Make sure
you're saying opposite fingers, but
yeah.
So the baby is my C. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not really supposed to go that far over to the left.
It's okay. And it's okay. It's okay. It'll happen sometimes. I mean, if you play long enough. And it's good to try stuff out. Okay, so now while you're at it, I want you to play the notes, play the chord, and name the notes. The first, one at a time. Just go C, E. Well, make sure your hand's on C, not F, because F looks a lot like C, doesn't it? But F has 3 black notes.
There it is.
Yeah.
It's kind of where I'm sitting and at the angle that I'm sitting to. Okay,
it's okay.
Okay, so it's C, G, and I'm sorry, C, E, and G.
Good.
So
Good.
C, E, G, C, E, G, C, E, G, C, E, G.
Yeah. Excellent. Good job. Okay. Now what you're going to do is the same hand configuration, but you're going to start on F like you wanted to do before.
Okay. F, D, and D.
Good. Make sure it's F. F.
Okay.
1 over. Yeah.
F, D, and C. F, C.
F, A, C. Yeah. F, A, C. Good.
I don't have them down completely. I know, kind of.
That's okay, because you're brushing up again on it. So, and this, you probably didn't do an exercise even like this. Typically, if you're learning to read, it's just not what they do. They usually start you by, okay, now read this song. So it's sort of new territory, but I think and I hope that you're going to find it pretty natural in a way, because it's just a lot less mental stuff you have to learn first. Okay, good. So now try it with the left hand and name the notes as you do it.
All right, so we've got F, A, and C. Okay. So do you want me to just do all chords, or do you want me to just F, A, C?
They're both fine. They're both good.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
F, A, C. I'm gonna go down that way.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so F, A, C. So.
Good. Good. That's good. All right. Now, one last chord is G. So just move the hand up one note to the right. And by the way, when I say up, you may be familiar with this. Up is to the right. It's always to the right. Left is down. So if I say up, it's interchangeable with to the right. So move it up one note, or so that, or yeah. So G. So the thumb is on G. Yeah. And then play a chord.
So now I have, let's see here, G, B, and
Good. Yeah.
let's see, D. I'm sorry. Take
Yeah.
me. Okay, C, B, and E. C, B.
G, B, D.
Am I saying the wrong note?
Yeah. G, B, D. Right? G, B, D. Yeah. Good.
And okay, let me get that right one there. Okay, one more. Okay, so G, B, D.
Yeah. So now what I want you to, take a note. It's fine. Those three chords. Remember the three chords is C, F, and G. I want you to play all three and one at a time name each note.
Okay.
Either hand's fine.
Okay. So, you said C, F, G, but something.
Yeah, well those are the chords, not the names, not the.
Chords, right? Okay, so okay.
Yeah, those are the chord names.
Okay. So I've got C, E, G. C, E, G.
Right.
And then I have, then I'm going to be doing F, B, C.
F, A.
Oh, F, A. F, A, C. F, A, C. F, wait, sorry. F, A, C. And then I'm going to be doing G. So that's going to be G, B, and E. Let me see. C, D. Okay, never mind. G, B, and D. I have to practice it. I have to do like a warm up before I start. But I'm excited because I kind of was real eager to learn chords. So this is perfect because that's exactly what you're teaching me.
Chords are the lifeblood of improvisation for a pianist. Learning chords.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so useful in everything you ever could do with piano.
Okay. I had a friend in my piano class, and that was like the big thing. She wanted to learn chords, and she actually has some experience with piano, so she probably knew it more by ear than the notes, but that was her big thing, was learning the chords, and that's kind of where I got that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. It's definitely important, and it's very important with improvisation. It's the thing to tie it back to what I showed you. It's the thing that lets me know what to do here because the sheet has the melody, like I said, and then it has the chords above it. The chords give you the framework that then you can add to it and decide how you're going to play along with the melody. So yeah, it's all about chords. Chords are, they're just, the keyboard is built to play chords. To learn piano is to learn chords in a way. And reading can mask that because you spend all this time reading individual notes, and you may do it individual notes together, but you're constantly looking at minutia. Whereas chords are an abstract concept that ties together things, ties together three notes in this thing we call a chord. And that's what we always play when we hear G. We say G, or, or F, or C. So yeah, it's really good to learn, and I'm glad you're interested in it because it's really what this is all about. Okay, good. So now, how do we proceed with this learning these chords? What you should do is just commit to practicing each chord. Actually, the progression now. C, F, G. Practice that through a half dozen times or more, just every time you sit down the next few days. And you're going to soon get it. And if one hand gets tired or you're bored of it, try the other hand. Just do C, F, and G. And you can even break it down like you did C, E, G, F, A, C. Just naming it or playing it as a block. Okay, and then you do this daily. Before you know it, you're starting to get a little chord vocabulary, because those three chords are very big, especially in this book. Okay, so now that brings me to the next part, which is this book. So you want to get this book. Okay, good. Anyway, so pick up that book, and that book is going to serve you well for quite a long time. I've been working with it with students for a while. There's a lot of songs in it, and they're all in the key of C in this version. Okay, so it can help. Now, if you recall kind of the theory or learned this at any point, different songs are in different keys usually.
Right.
That has its place as a learning. There's a time and place for that. But I like how this book, all the songs are in C. You still learn a lot of chords. And, once we get there, we can start branching off, doing things. But to start out, in other words, these chords you're learning right now are going to be big to start.